Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 46th Annual Semiconductor Industry Association Awards Dinner. I'm John Newfer. Thank you, Matt. I'm John Newfer, President and CEO of SIA. On behalf of the SIA Board of Directors, thank you all for joining us this evening. What an exciting and pivotal time for our industry. Really great for us all to be together. Before we start dinner, I'd like to recognize the following platinum and gold sponsors. Their support has helped make tonight's program possible. Maybe it was something in the water, but last year when I did this, folks got a little competitive, shall I say a little rowdy. Let's see how it goes this year. So the sponsors, the Arizona Commerce Authority. Yeah, okay, let's see. Intel. Okay. Jobs Ohio. The Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Okay. Micron. The National Institute for Innovation and Technology. New York loves nanotech. That little company, NVIDIA. Okay. Another little company, Samsung. Another little company, Western Digital. And another little company, AMD. Oh, wow. Okay. Analog Devices. Aero Electronic, and by the way, Aero Electronics has some killer swag shirts, by the way. Dassault Systems, EFC Gases and Advanced Materials, Global Foundries, IBM, Marvell, My Silicon Compass, Plug and Play, Qualcomm. All right, there we go. Skywater. And last but not least, Texas Instruments. Okay, now let's all give all of our sponsors a big round of applause. All right, there we go. Working together. We're also pleased to welcome a very special guest tonight, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Welcome back, Governor. And thank you for joining us again. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize, we do this annually, our whiz kids from the First Robotics program. Hopefully everyone enjoyed seeing their snazzy robots during the reception and getting a glimpse of future leaders of the industry. So come on up here, future leaders of the industry, and let's get a snapshot. Okay, guys, there's a lot of future interns right here. Thank you very much. Did we get a good picture? All right, fantastic. Thanks so much, guys. Exit stage left, I think they say in Hollywood. There we go. Okay. As they're exiting, special thanks to Lonnie Weissman and Luan Heimlich from First Robotics for arranging to have these great kids with us tonight. With that, please enjoy dinner. We'll resume the festivities shortly. Thank you. Good evening. Thanks once again for being here tonight. It's been a very busy and productive year for our industry, to say the least. When I started at SIA over 8 years ago, I was worried there would not be enough to do to keep me and us busy. I mean, everyone was calling this a mature industry back then. It's safe to say the possibility of sliding into a sleepy sinecure job has not really panned out for me. We have an opportunity. We have an outstanding program for you tonight. In a few minutes, I'll welcome to the stage SIA's new chair, Rich Templeton from Texas Instruments. Later, I'll recognize two university professors for their outstanding contributions to semiconductor research. And of course, we'll present the Noyce Award, the industry's highest honor, to Sanjay Malhotra from Micron. We'll also get Pat Gelsinger. We'll also get Pat Gelsinger up on the stage here to pay tribute. There we go. Okay. To pay tribute to a hugely larger than life icon of our industry, the late Gordon Moore. And finally, we'll hear from our keynote presenter, Medtronic CEO, Jeff Martha. Thanks for coming tonight, Jeff. I'm not quite done with that part of it. He'll participate in a fireside chat with Anna Swanson of the New York Times. Yeah, okay, we should be clapping for Anna. Some of you, there we go. Okay, let's do it. Some of you may have seen her excellent piece this morning about Chinese President Xi's dinner last night with industry leadership just a few miles north of here, where she reported President Xi had 3 versions of the speech prepared for the event, and fortunately, according to her crack piece, he selected the friendliest one. Is that right, Anna? Okay. Yeah. And we'll have special video greetings from a couple of surprise guests, although I think many of you may know who this guest, at least one of them may be. At any rate, you won't want to miss them. That's a bit of a hint, okay? Before we get started, I'd like to briefly reflect on where we are as an industry and where we may be going. A little over a year ago, we celebrated enactment of the CHIPS and Science Act, the culmination of years of hard work by SIA. But we did not do this alone. It was our members, of course, members of Congress, leaders in the administration, governors. Thank you, Governor Whitmer, for your help. And so many others. The new law is off to a strong start, sparking dozens of announced manufacturing projects in the U.S., hundreds of billions of dollars in company investments, and hundreds of thousands of direct and indirect jobs across the U.S. economy. So CHIPS stands as an historic accomplishment for our industry and a great leap forward for the U.S. semiconductor production and innovation. But much work remains to keep our industry as a whole at its competitive best. While CHIPS enactment unlocked lots of opportunities for our sector, it also marked the start of the next phase of our work to confront the significant challenges we still face. First, we need to ensure the new manufacturing incentives and R&D investments get out the door in a timely manner and deliver maximum impact. The U.S. Commerce Department, some of whom are here tonight, is making great progress toward getting grants out the door and standing up new research entities, especially the National Semiconductor Technology Center, or NSTC. Yeah. I'll just say one of our guests here, Donna Dubinsky, was the first to clap with that. It's critical that this progress continues and delivers strong results. We are not going to get another shot at this. Second, we need to expand the pipeline of STEM talent in the U.S. and strengthen the semiconductor workforce. Without action, we face a shortage of 67,000 STEM workers in the semiconductor industry by the end of a decade, and that's probably a very conservative estimate, and a shortfall of 1.4 million STEM workers throughout the broader U.S. economy. Meeting this challenge needs to be a national priority. We must work together to expand our industry's long-standing workforce development efforts, broaden the pipeline of STEM graduates in the U.S., and retain and attract more of the top engineering students from around the world, which means getting some form of immigration reform. And right? Okay. And finally, we must promote free trade and access to global markets. Our assumptions about free trade and the value of global supply chains continue to be challenged. But for us, participating in global supply chains and reaching overseas customers is absolutely essential. It's existential. It's the stuff that makes our industry grow and innovate. So we must work to rebuild the global consensus in support of free trade. As someone who used to work at USTR, I'll clap about that again. Okay, this is all very high stakes, consequential for our industry, for this country, for the world. SIA and its amazing members and partners have a really great track record of getting things done, and this gives me a lot of confidence we'll make a big dent in the challenges we face in the coming year. Let me close by saying thank you to everyone here tonight for your tireless work on behalf of our industry and for your commitment to strengthening its future. Gordon Moore once famously said, Pat, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder here, if everything you try works, you aren't trying hard enough. Think about that. The spirit of dogged, purposeful perseverance has made our industry what it is today. And by working together and continuing to persevere, we will realize a better, brighter future, powered, of course, by semiconductors. Thank you. And now I think we've got a video teed up here. Is that right, Dan?
Any discussion of semiconductors is given to a contrast of scale. The smaller chips become, with transistors that can be thousands of times narrower than a human hair, the bigger their importance and global demand grow. The products enabled by semiconductors are revolutionizing industries, connecting populations, advancing healthcare, and pushing the very boundaries of human intelligence. As countries around the world race to attract semiconductor production and innovation to their shores, enactment of the CHIPS and Science Act stands as a huge inflection point. In anticipation of CHIPS incentives, companies throughout the semiconductor ecosystem have announced exciting plans, including more than 60 projects nationwide, more than $210 billion in private investments across 22 states, and more than 44,000 new, high-quality semiconductor jobs, which will support hundreds of thousands of additional jobs throughout the U.S. economy. Still, to ensure our industry reaches its full potential, work remains. There are 3 core actions policymakers can take to help propel semiconductor production and innovation for decades to come. First, we must ensure CHIPS Act implementation continues in a fast and effective manner.
It's a really important time for this industry. I think this industry is very well positioned, and we just need to make sure we go out there and we engage in a very productive and positive way, and it's going to be a very bright future for all of us.
Second, we must broaden the pipeline of talent.
I can't think of a better place, for somebody coming out of school to enter an industry today. We're going to have more chips in our lives. They're going to make equipment more efficient, faster, smarter, safer. And that's going to require great minds and great engineers and great scientists. I think it's just a tremendous industry to be joining at this point.
Third, we must ensure the semiconductor industry has open access to global markets.
And an absolutely key factor is open markets and free trade. And I think the world right now is not focusing enough on the importance of free trade, and I think there needs to be more energy put into making sure our markets are open and helping us build out these supply chains.
With the wind of major policy victories at our back and a unified commitment to rise to the challenges in front of us, we can confidently innovate, ensure global supply chain resiliency, and realize the promise of an incredible semiconductor-enabled future.
So, they say in Washington, you just keep saying the same thing over and over again, and I think you got a little bit of that just now. Now, before we welcome SI's board chair for the year ahead, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our outgoing chair, Matt Johnson of Silicon Labs. Matt skillfully and successfully guided SIA through an incredibly busy and consequential 12 months. His unflappable leadership, his partnership, and strong advocacy were a tremendous asset to our association during his term as chair, and he has left us well-positioned for our continued success. For the entire SI team, he has been a genuine pleasure to work with. On behalf of our team and the entire SI board, thank you, Matt. Let's give Matt a big round of applause. With that, I'm pleased to introduce the gentleman who took the reins today as SIA's board chair for the year ahead. Rich Templeton is a mainstay in our industry and a long-time champion for our priorities. There's no one more knowledgeable about the challenges we face as an industry and how we can overcome them. So please join me in welcoming to the stage our friend, Texas Instruments Board Chair and 2024 SIA Board Chair, Rich Templeton.
John, I tried to convince Matt to come up and speak again as the departing chair. It really is an honor to take over as the 2024 chair of SIA. As I think everybody here knows, SIA plays an absolutely essential role as the voice of our industry in Washington and really in capitals around the world. The association's accomplishments throughout its nearly 50-year history have helped our industry grow and thrive. This time last year, I had the honor of sitting with Jim Farley, Ford's CEO, on this stage, talking about how the growth of semiconductors in automotive is making all kinds of new innovations possible. And later tonight, as John has already introduced, we're going to get a glimpse at the way semiconductors are transforming healthcare from the CEO of Medtronic, Jeff Martha. I know some remarkable things are ahead of us in the next 10, 15, even 20 years. Whether it's in automotive, whether it's in energy, whether it's in healthcare, semiconductor technology is at the center of delivering innovative solutions that impact electronics and the world around us. As I think about the last 12 months, we are no longer talking about growing the awareness of the importance of semiconductors. That awareness is now, and that expectation is really the baseline of how people think. Everyone now understands what we've known all along. As society continues to advance, so too must semiconductor innovation. So as I step into the role of SIA's board chair, I am committed to ensuring we continue to be proactive, collaborative, and steadfast in our agenda and advocacy, because we will have a critical role to play in advancing the priorities that will allow our industry to continue to succeed and change the world for the better. As many of you have heard me say before, this is really an incredible time in the semiconductor industry. I look forward to working by your side in the year ahead to help our industry take its next big steps forward. And on that note, I will follow up, and Matt, just say thank you very much for your leadership. It's really made a big impact. It was a significant year for our industry, but we are full of opportunities, challenges, and we love talking about market cycles, increasing geopolitical dynamics. That's all you had to deal with in your brief year. So thank you during that very pivotal time. So I look forward to building on that progress, and 2024 doesn't shape up to be a year with any less excitement, is my suspicion, John. I can say with some confidence the world and our industry is getting more complex, not less. But I also know that fundamental long-term demand for chips and innovation isn't going anywhere but up. And robust, diverse supply chains will become more important than ever. As government leaders make decisions about how to boost semiconductor research and production, we must be unified in advocating for smart, thoughtful approaches that preserve free trade and open markets, and the resilience and innovations that come with them. We must also be unified here at home, where the CHIPS Act has spurred the announcement of dozens of new projects and investments. CHIPS, as we know, is on track to reinvigorate domestic chip production and innovation, while also reinforcing America's economy, national security, and technological competitiveness. As implementation gets into full swing, we need to ensure it proceeds effectively. And we have to make sure we continue our close collaboration with each other and with policymakers to maximize the benefits of this historic legislation. None of this work will be easy, but that's not why any of us are in the semiconductor industry. We like to solve problems. We like to build upon these who came before us to create technology that makes our world a better place. I'm very much looking forward to working with all of you during the next year and continue to advance these goals. Thank you for placing the trust in me as your 2024 chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Rich. We're very fortunate to have your knowledge and your experience on our side this year. Now it's time for a message from a special guest, a tremendous champion of our industry in the nation's capital, the U.S. Senate Majority Leader from the great state of New York, Senator Chuck Schumer.
Hello, SIA. It's Chuck Schumer, and I'm really honored to have the chance to share a quick message with you as you celebrate your 2023 awards dinner. First, I want to recognize your outstanding CEO, John Neufer, for the great work he's done, and the entire SIA team has done it as well, to help strengthen and grow America's semiconductor industry, which is growing by leaps and bounds, and I am proud of it, particularly those in New York. It's also my personal honor to congratulate the recipient of this year's Noyce Award, my good friend, Micron's CEO, Sanjay Mehrotra. Under Sanjay's leadership, Micron is driving new advances in semiconductor manufacturing and innovation across the country, including in my home state of New York. After Congress passed the CHIPS and Science Act last summer, which I helped author and champion, Micron proposed a $100 billion investment in upstate New York that is transforming the region into a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing. I applaud Sanjay's vision, his commitment to ensuring the U.S. leads in semiconductor manufacturing. While he's a tough negotiator, he's a man of his word and has been a great partner from the start. A partner in helping pass CHIPS and Science into law, a partner in making truly historic manufacturing investments in the U.S., particularly in New York and Idaho, and a partner in Micron setting an example with their efforts to support workers, community, and historically underrepresented businesses as a priority. Micron's a poster child for how to best bring the semiconductor manufacturing back to the U.S. and ensure we lead again in this technology that's so critical to our national and economic security. We should also take a moment to acknowledge the remarkable year we've had since CHIPS and Science became law. In this past year, we've seen investments to the tune of $166 billion to bring semiconductor manufacturing back to our shores. This means new jobs and opportunities for economic growth from New York to Arizona, Ohio to Texas, every corner of the country. And we are just getting started. I never felt better about the future of American semiconductor manufacturing than I do today, thanks to all of you. So thanks again, congratulations to Sanjay, and I hope you have a great evening.
Well, one thing is for sure, Senator Chuck Schumer cannot help himself. Thanks to Senator Schumer for that message and for his tireless support of our industry. He continues to be a great chip champion. Now, on a more somber note, earlier this year, we lost one of the greatest pioneers and innovators in history, Gordon Moore. His iconic vision, embodied by Moore's Law, helped propel chip technology to new heights and inspire generations of innovations that have forever changed the world for the better. No, really, the world is simply and undeniably a better place because of Gordon Moore. To help us pay tribute to him, I'd like to welcome to the stage an outstanding industry leader in his own right, Intel's CEO, Pat Gelsinger.
March 24th was a sad day when our leader, our founder, Gordon Moore, passed away. We had the difficult task of honoring his legacy at our headquarters on May 5th of this year. And I thank you for inviting us tonight to honor his legacy once again. Since its birth more than 50 years ago, Intel has been an engine of innovation. It has also, in many ways, been my family. I joke that I started at Intel so young, I went through puberty at Intel. But truly, I grew up in the halls of Intel and learned at the feet of the Trinity, as I said, Bob Noyce, Andy Grove, and Gordon Moore, the people that put silicon into Silicon Valley. Throughout my career, I've tried to live up to the lessons I learned from Gordon Moore. I'm humbled and honored to have the opportunity to follow in his footsteps as the CEO of this iconic company, to continue his legacy of extraordinary leadership. And my life and much of my career has taken shape because of Gordon. I was a teenager in 1979 when I first walked into the company, and stunningly, 2 weeks after I started with the company, Gordon Moore was teaching new employee orientation for me. So I met him literally 2 weeks into my career at Intel, and I was just in awe. A few years later, I found myself arguing with Gordon, Robert, and Andy because the computers weren't stable enough to finish my chip, the 8386. And instead of firing me as this precocious brat probably deserved at the time, Gordon took my input seriously and he fixed the computers, and sure enough, we finished the 386. To me, Gordon's most remarkable legacy is his matter-of-fact, roll-up-your-sleeves kind of task just to get things done. He famously said, and John, you didn't steal all of my quotes, but he famously said, what can be done can be outdone. He believed you could invent technologies that could change lives, that you could create the kind of company that others wanted to work for. You could innovate and make investments to protect the environment, to improve healthcare, and to spark discovery. He believed it because he did it. Gordon co-founded one of the world's greatest technology companies, still vibrant, almost 60 years later. He helped create the fearless business and engineering culture that is the hallmark of our great Silicon Valley. He continues to resonate through every corner of the world. The industry, through every school and education, reverberates in the spirit of Gordon Moore. He was instrumental in revealing the power of this magic thing called silicon and this extraordinary invention called the transistor. When we were expanding and renaming our Ron LeRaker site a year ago in Oregon, we had the honor to rename it in Gordon's site, and we named it the Gordon Moore Center. And my final visit to see Gordon in Hawaii was November before the renaming. And in typical Gordon style, as I told him what we were going to go do, he said, now remember, you spell my name with 2 O's. Classic Gordon Moore. He loved to fish. He loved his family. He was an environmentalist before it was cool. He loved his company, and he loved our industry. Ever an understated man, Gordon once said in an interview, "It's kind of funny that Moore's Law is what I'm best known for." It was just a relatively simple observation. At Intel, we remain inspired by Moore's Law, and it ain't finished until the periodic table is exhausted. Gordon's vision lives on as our true north as we continue to live our purpose of creating technology that improves the life of every single person on the planet. Additionally, Gordon and Betty's legacy lives on through their extraordinary educational and philanthropic efforts. These will live on for decades, nay, centuries to come. I think I can speak for the entire community when I say he leaves behind a legacy that changed the lives of every one of us, everyone that we interact with, and truly every single person on the planet. His memory will live on. And I serve as CEO of Intel simply to honor him. Let's watch the video now.
I think we really know where we want to go, and we know what's necessary to get there.
Gordon was never the loudest person in the room, yet when he spoke, everybody listened.
When he did speak, it was always very important.
Gordon taught me just a lot about what it means to be a visionary, what it means to be a leader.
Gordon Moore taught me that nice guys can finish first.
Gordon was the nicest of the nice guys, very understated and humble.
And at the same time, a fierce competitor in the world of business.
Gordon helped define the most significant innovation engine the world has ever known with the company called Intel.
He was the technical genius behind Silicon Valley.
He really taught all of us what the semiconductor business was then and what it could be in the future.
Where it's going to lead is kind of hard to predict now, but I'm sure it's going to be exciting. Well, it certainly has been exciting to be part of this industry.
So many of the things we interact with in the course of the day are made possible because of Gordon's work.
Gordon always stood in the intersection of technology and business.
We knew it was a new idea, we thought it was significant, but the magnitude was far beyond anything we could have imagined.
Of course, Gordon will be known for Moore's Law.
1965, he postulated Moore's Law.
I took a wild extrapolation and said, we're going to continue doubling every year.
It was a far-reaching extrapolation.
Now, what I was trying to do was get across the idea this is the way electronics were going to become cheap.
But it's almost a directive to the industry that, hey, if you want to be competitive, this is where you have to be.
It really set the roadmap for other people to follow.
From being just a measure of what has happened, it's become a driver of what is going to happen.
At Google, we always think about OKRs, and I've always thought, Gordon's vision and what became Moore's Law was one of the most ambitious OKRs ever.
Here we are, 58 years later. Moore's Law is still going.
We see ourselves as the stewards of Moore's Law. And I truly believe that as long as innovation continues, Gordon Moore's legacy will continue.
So in my 4 decades in journalism, I've had a chance to interview presidents and kings and generals and terrorist leaders even. But when people ask me what was my favorite interview, I tell them it was the opportunity to interview an 86-year-old Gordon Moore on the 50th anniversary of Moore's Law in 2015 at the Exploratorium in San Francisco. In that interview, I asked him, when was the moment that you came home and turned to your wife, Betty, and said, honey, they named a law after me? He answered, well, for the first 20 years, I couldn't utter the term Moore's Law. It was embarrassing, he said. But finally, I got accustomed to it, where now I could say it with a straight face. That's a humble guy.
I consider myself very lucky that our path has crossed.
He was a technical godfather of Silicon Valley. Everyone respected him.
He hired good people. They all loved him. Everybody loved him.
I'll remember also his kind heart and his incredible generosity.
He was a scientist, a statesman, an inventor, a founder, a philanthropist. And he wore all those hats so gracefully and in such an inspirational way.
He was a man who looked into the future and saw so many ways that technology could improve people's lives. Gordon Moore was a giant, a visionary, and someone who showed us that a good idea can change the world.
One last time, thank you, Gordon.
Okay, wow. Thank you, Pat, for that wonderful tribute to an absolute giant. Okay, now it's time to present the 2023 University Research Awards to two distinguished professors who have had exceptional contributions to semiconductor research. Professor Supriya Datta from Purdue University and Professor Kevin Skadron. Yeah, that's it. From the University of Virginia. Before I recognize the professors, I'd like to give a huge thanks to our semiconductor partners, to our partners at the Semiconductor Research Corporation, or SRC, and in particular SRC CEO Todd Yunkin, who is here tonight for identifying these outstanding university researchers as candidates for this award. Let's give a big hand to Todd and his team. Todd, take a bow, Todd. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Datta and Dr. Skadron represent the finest in the field of semiconductor research, contributing to semiconductor advances that are making our world smarter, greener, healthier, more productive, and better connected. Let's recognize our first award winner and then welcome him to accept his award and say a few words. Professor Datta will receive the award for excellence in semiconductor technology research. His research on quantum transport theory, molecular electronics, and spintronics has not only revolutionized mass-embedded storage and non-volatile memory technologies, that's a mouthful, but also enabled quantum computing for key challenges, including cryptography and drug exploration. So please give a round of applause to our first recipient of the 2023 University Research Award, Professor Datta. Please be welcome to the stage.
My sincere thanks to the SIA and the SRC for this honor. I have a long association with the SRC in the sense, you see, I joined Purdue as a faculty member in 1981, and it was the next year, I believe, that SRC was launched. And myself and my colleague, Mark Lundstrom, who was also a young faculty member then, we wrote our first proposals to SRC, which got funded. And that was one of our first funded proposals. And that was like 40 years ago. And as you know, the next 40 years, it has been an amazing journey for the semiconductor industry. With Moore's law, going from, at that time, maybe a chip had like 1,000 or 10,000 transistors. We are now at 10 billion. So it's been an amazing journey. And through all of this, it has been a real pleasure, through the working with SRC. and they have this nice balance between solving short-term problems and developing long-term visions. So thank you very much. And also like to thank Purdue University for providing me with this very supportive environment where I could work with outstanding colleagues. And finally, of course, as you know, the biggest reward in working in academia is really this opportunity to work with outstanding students, who have really taught me much more than they realize. Thank you.
Great, Professor Datta, and congratulations again. Now to our next award recipient, Professor Skadron will receive the award for excellence in semiconductor design research. His research has led to important new designs for processing in memory, or PIM, and improved performance and energy efficiency in CPUs, GPUs, and FPGAs for high-performance systems such as data centers and gaming systems. Please join me in congratulating our next recipient of the 2023 University Research Award, Professor Skadron. Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. It's a wonderful honor to be here. I'm deeply honored to be recognized with this award. It came as a complete surprise, and when I look at the other honorees, Professor Datta and prior honorees, I'm especially humbled. A lot of my research, and especially the work that I think has had the most impact, has actually been building tools for computer architecture research, simulators, power and thermal models, benchmarks that have enabled not only my own research, but even more so, has enabled a wide variety of other research in the community. And that's been incredibly rewarding to see that happen. And I'm grateful that others have found value in the work. I'm also very grateful for the funding support I've received. I'd like to echo what Professor Datta said. SRC has funded my research for most of my career since I became a faculty member in 1999. And I've been very fortunate to have not only that financial support for our research program and our students, but the connection to industry and the feedback that that's enabled that isn't always possible with other kinds of funding awards. Of course, I'd like to also thank the wonderful students that I've worked with, both undergraduate and graduate students. Professor Datta said it very well. I've learned so much from them, and it's been I think one of the greatest rewards of my career to see them go on and have successful careers, both in academia and in this industry. And I'd like to thank my PhD advisors who gave me the confidence to get me started in this path, and the University of Virginia for hiring me. And of course, I'd like to thank my family for their support. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, thank you and congratulations again. Let's give both professors one more big, deserving round of applause. All right, now let's hear from another outstanding champion for our industry in Washington, D.C., Senator Mike Crapo from the very fine state of Idaho.
I'm honored to congratulate my friend Sanjay Mehrotra for receiving the Semiconductor Industry Association's top honor, the Robert N. Noyce Award. The Noyce Award is presented annually in recognition of a leader who has made outstanding contributions to the semiconductor industry in technology or public policy. I have witnessed firsthand Sanjay's tireless work and advocacy on behalf of Micron and the semiconductor industry as a whole. As an engineer and computer scientist himself, Sanjay has over 40 years of experience in the memory industry and more than 70 patents to his name. Sanjay, you are a true industry leader, and I'm glad to see that recognition bestowed upon you by your colleagues. In Idaho, we are proud of Micron and its rise over the last 45 years from a 4-person semiconductor design firm housed in the basement of a dental office in Boise to a global industry leader and the only U.S.-based manufacturer of DRAM chips. As the company embarks on a new expansion plan, with significant investments planned for leading-edge memory manufacturing in Boise and Clay, New York, I'm excited for what the future holds for Micron, its employees, and the rest of the semiconductor ecosystem. Sanjay has been a critical partner for lawmakers as we work to ensure the semiconductor industry is able to continue to innovate and develop new technologies that keep Idaho and the United States on the cutting edge for research and development. Congratulations once again on receiving this top honor, Sanjay. It is well deserved. I look forward to continuing to work with you and all that Micron will accomplish in Idaho, throughout the United States, and across the world.
Thank you, Senator Crapo, for those kind words and your strong support of our industry. Now it's time to turn to the presentation of the semiconductor industry's top honor, the Robert N. Noyce Award, to a remarkable and highly accomplished leader in our industry, Sanjay Mehrotra. We'll start with a short video about the award's namesake, the exceptional Robert Noyce. Okay, now to present the 2023 Robert Noyce Award, please join me in welcoming back to the stage Texas Instruments Chairman, SIA Chair, and former recipient of the Noyce Award himself, Rich Templeton.
Thank you, John. And Sanjay, this is a real honor for me. This year's Noyce Award recipient is a leader, a visionary in our industry, Sanjay Mehrotra. Sanjay is leading Micron during, and I love some of these remarks, an exciting time. Anybody in this industry knows what that's code for. As changes in computing architecture and artificial intelligence technologies transform how the world uses information. Sanjay joined Micron in 2017 after a distinguished career at SanDisk, where he led the company from a startup in 1988 until its sale in 2016. Sanjay also served as SanDisk president and CEO from 2011 to 2016, overseeing its growth to an industry-leading Fortune 500 company. Sanjay has more than 40 years of experience in the semiconductor memory industry altogether, and he holds more than 70 patents, several of which are foundational to enabling high-capacity flash memory, which is now a ubiquitous element of modern computing. In 2022, Sanjay was inducted into the National Academy of Engineering. Sanjay is passionate about promoting STEM education, and he champions opportunities that focus on helping underrepresented youth. Sanjay is also deeply committed to building an inclusive and equitable culture at Micron and increasing diverse representation in engineering technology, and leadership. During his 4 decades of work, Sanjay has greatly advanced our industry, our technology, and our talent pipeline. Sanjay's colleagues at Micron have put together a short video in his honor. Let's watch together.
I met Sanjay back in 1980, and I hired him to become one of the young engineers at Intel. Sanjay was a young rising star, very hardworking, mature, focused, and above all else, very innovative.
Sanjay has been on a great journey of achievement and broad contribution since he arrived in the U.S. in 1976. Throughout his journey, Sanjay has created thousands of jobs, developed groundbreaking technology, improved the lives of many people, managed with passion and humanity, and through it all, remained humble.
One of the things about Sanjay that everyone who's interacted with him on any level knows is his attention to detail is really beyond anything that most people have ever experienced. And it's really something that Sanjay brings to the table in every aspect of how he drives business and how he interacts with people. And certainly it's been a big factor in how we approach product development and technology development.
We are Micron. We are memory makers. We are memory innovators.
As one of the earliest designers of flash memory, Sanjay understands that success in the memory industry is dependent on technology and innovation leadership. And he ensures that that's the bedrock of the company.
When I came to Micron, Sanjay asked me to join the company on a Friday. Who joins on a Friday, I thought. But I realized this small example is classic Sanjay. Persistent drive to excel, always questioning the status quo, pushing teams to reach higher at every step.
Sanjay is a true pioneer in our industry and someone I've respected for many years as a great business leader, colleague, and friend. As a co-founder and CEO of SanDisk and then CEO of Micron, Sanjay's tenacity and creativity has transformed the memory business, which is such a critical part of the semiconductor ecosystem. Sanjay leads from the front. He's a deep technology expert, a wonderful business partner, and just a wonderful leader. I've enjoyed working alongside Sanjay in the industry, and I admire his passion for educating and supporting the next generation of STEM innovators, hoping to ensure a better future for us all.
As a member of the Engineering Advisory Board for 4 engineering deans, Sanjay's sage advice and support has enabled us to launch many new initiatives, including to diversify the talent pipeline for engineering programs. As one example, many years ago, when the college was contemplating starting a new middle school outreach program to encourage girls to pursue engineering, Sanjay stepped up immediately to support it and encourage us to expand this program.
Besides his passion for excellence, Sanjay's leadership style has 2 additional differentiators: his integrity and the value he places on diversity of thought. He has created this incredible culture at both SanDisk and now at Micron, where all opinions are heard, even if they differ materially from his own, and he approaches all decisions with the highest standards of integrity I have seen in my entire career.
Sanjay cares about people. Whether it's our focus on diversity and inclusion, or on community service, or on individual well-being, Sanjay absolutely ensures that people are front and center and the heart of Micron.
Sanjay is always focused on learning new perspectives, learning from people with different backgrounds and different thought patterns and from different places in the world. He is continually focused on other people's perspectives and how he can use those to adapt his leadership to reach more people more effectively. He is absolutely a influence on every leader in this company, and I know leaders across the industry.
Huge congratulations, Sanjay, on the well-deserved recognition of receiving the Robert N. Noyce Award. I look forward to many more years of your leadership in our industry.
Sanjay's vision drove major achievements in non-volatile memory performance, reliability, endurance, and high density. His contributions are essential to modern computing. Sanjay, congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Sanjay has helped shape every industry touched by computing.
Now the world is transitioning from general purpose to accelerated and AI computing. Sanjay has positioned Micron perfectly to help drive the industry into this exciting future. Congratulations, Sanjay, on your SIA Noise Award.
On behalf of the Micron Board of Directors and all Micron employees, congratulations, Sanjay. The journey is not over, and we all look forward to your continued leadership and contributions to Micron in the industry. On a final note, I have come to know how uncomfortable you are with public recognition and accolades. So with this one, just sit back and enjoy it.
Yes, my friend, I'm sure that last comment is very applicable as you sit there right now, hoping that this moment is over. Everyone, please join me in welcoming Sanjay to the stage to accept the 2023 Noise Award.
So first of all, I'm really moved by all the comments in the video and the comments from Rich. I really, truly appreciate all the friendship I've enjoyed with my colleagues, with the Micron board, SIA board, and very many in this room that I've worked with over the years. And Bob was absolutely right. I am a little uncomfortable with the recognition, mostly because I know that so much of the credit belongs to the great teams at SanDisk and Micron. So if I had thousands of team members up here with me, I would feel much better. We stand on the shoulders of giants. When I first started at Intel in 1980, I had the extraordinary opportunity to watch both Gordon Moore and Robert Noyce in action. I'm humbled tonight to receive this recognition in Robert Noyce's honor. I want to start by acknowledging the mentors who have had a great influence on my life. First, my father. He was instrumental in setting me on a path to become an engineer. I came to the US as an immigrant in the 1970s to study engineering at UC Berkeley. And that almost did not happen. My visa in New Delhi, India was denied 3 times, a rejection my father just refused to accept. He tenaciously lobbied the US Embassy official, and in a passionate 20-minute speech, he was my agent, he was my lawyer, he was my advocate. It became clear to the official that my dad was not going to take no for an answer. Only then was my visa fully approved. That visa and the education it enabled changed the trajectory of my life. So thank you, Dad. And after my dad, I would like to recognize George Perligos, who's here in the room today, my first boss, who really taught me everything I know about design. And also Eli Harari, the lead founder of SanDisk, who helped me transform from an engineering leader and inventor into a businessman who could manage a complex semiconductor company. And certainly my wife, Sangeeta, she has been a rock for me all my 40 years of marriage. She has taught me how to be calm, how to be patient, how to be collected, think of the big picture, especially when big moments, difficult moments arise in life. And really raising our 2 daughters. I'm so proud of them. My older daughter, Mansi, is here with her husband. And my younger daughter, Malika, and her husband, Rohan. We are a tight-knit family. I place first priority on this family of 5, and now our first grandchild as well. Thank you, Mansi and Anish. Eli, the lead founder of SanDisk, had the vision to understand the potential of flash. Flash was just a lab technology when we started at SanDisk in 1988. We were the first in the industry to do a system-level flash, perfecting the data from an imperfect medium of flash with controllers, firmware, wear leveling, and error correction. We called it turning mud, the defective flash medium, into gold. Today, all flash is system flash. Our first storage solution was a 20 megabyte drive that sold for $1,000. And over the years, with so many advances in memory technology and innovative contributions from so many engineers, we have come a million miles from that starting point. SanDisk was founded on a differentiated triple poly NOR flash that was geared to system storage. We pushed ourselves to create an environment for breakthrough ideas. And one of the first was the multi-level cell, which ultimately has led to triple and quad bit cells, and those are the building blocks of all flash today. The internet era unleashed digital imaging and put compact flash and SD cards everywhere. SanDisk kept moving forward and actually leapt forward by capturing the opportunity to create a retail brand selling to consumers worldwide. Every corner of the world, you could find SanDisk product. And this was really typically unheard for a semiconductor company. And then came the mobility wave. Smartphones were enabled by the advent of wireless broadband networks and led to tremendous innovation across our industry. Wi-Fi chips, GPS chips, app processors, and so on. These amazing devices and the applications they enabled have unlocked trillions of dollars of opportunity for the broader technology ecosystem. And none of this would have happened without cost-effective, high-capacity, high-reliability flash memory. And along the way, SanDisk converted from our proprietary triple poly NOR technology to industry-standard NAND. Our NAND served us well through the first 10 years. Our NOR served us well for the first 10 years of the company and allowed the company to go public, but we saw early enough that this technology would not scale. And as hard as it was to abandon our NOR creation, in 1999, we began to wind down the NOR business and formed a joint venture with Toshiba in NAND, flash R&D, and wafer manufacturing. It was a very successful win-win partnership. SanDisk brought in IP, the retail brand, design, MLC device expertise, and access to capital markets. Toshiba brought leading-edge NAND process R&D and large-scale semiconductor manufacturing capability. And we made the transition from NOR to NAND in just 18 months. And a few years later, the joint venture became the largest flash manufacturer in the world. Those decisions were emblematic of three principles that have been guiding lights in my career. First, Moore's Law, technology scaling, and technology leadership are at the core of success in our industry, particularly for memory. Second, decisions must be made quickly and firmly, burning the bridges without looking back. Third, any ecosystem relationship must be balanced and win-win partnership. The success and scale of that JV partnership, growing flash market diversification, and broad adoption of system flash led SanDisk to become a multi-billion-dollar company. Eventually, in 2016, we sold SanDisk. The transaction with Western Digital was valued at $19 billion when we announced it. We had taken a startup and made it into a truly meaningful company. After the sale, I took a step back for a bit. And about a year later, when I was approached to lead Micron, I saw it as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I always considered Micron to be a true national treasure. I saw it as an iconic company with a great history and brilliant innovators. I was energized by the challenge. This was an opportunity to lead a strong team of already meaningful company and challenge ourselves to become a company of global consequence. But I must admit, I was apprehensive. With a startup, you know everything. You know the technology, you know the team, you build the business. And how is it going to work at an established company? That's what I wondered. But the Micron team, thank you team, you embraced me. Today, Micron, through all the excellent work by the team, has really driven a massive transformation, demonstrating clear technology leadership in memory, pioneering industry-leading smart manufacturing, and becoming known for best-in-class product quality. We also employ a silicon to systems vertical integration strategy that has transformed Micron's product portfolio. That portfolio transformation is positioning Micron to address the tremendous growth opportunity AI will bring to memory and storage markets. Today, AI servers require 6 to 8 times the DRAM of standard server, up to 3 times the NAND. And what's more, AI is driving applications from the cloud to the edge that all demand high performance, low power, high capacity memory. The information that AI brings won't be unique to memory. It will drive growth for all semiconductors. Innovations in semiconductors and smartphones, PCs, autos, cloud computing, and various consumer and industrial applications, all increasingly relying on AI, are improving the quality of life globally. The US has led the design and development for many of these products and solutions, yet the vast majority of semiconductor manufacturing has continued to be done overseas. Manufacturing of semiconductors has broader economic impact beyond what the products themselves enable. Manufacturing's widespread benefits range from the number of people that are employed in building and operating facilities to the ecosystem innovation within the local supply base and extending it even to local universities. And maybe most importantly, manufacturing provides an avenue to bring economic opportunity to many groups of people in the US who have been left behind in the technology waves of the last 20 years. And this is why the US CHIPS Act is so vital. The SIA should be very proud of the role it has played in getting the CHIPS Act passed. CHIPS is going to be truly transformational for technology manufacturing in the United States, at the community level, in our workforce, and across the entire industry ecosystem. Micron's plans for US manufacturing in Idaho and New York, which we are discussing now with the Department of Commerce and hope to bring to fruition with the requisite grant levels, can be a central driver of these manufacturing ecosystems due to the scale that the memory business requires in manufacturing. Chips will help spur the supply diversification that will be so important to our industry and the stability of world economies. It is going to drive increased demand for a trained and capable workforce. And to that end, Micron has partnered to create Northwest and Northeast US university networks and a US-Japan university partnership to strengthen the semiconductor talent pipeline. And as we heard today, and I know all of us have been focused on the workforce gap in the years ahead, but tonight I would really like to urge you and myself to do even more. I believe this is one of the most significant challenges facing our industry, and we heard a lot about that from Sujay today as well. But with that challenge is an opportunity. As we seek to train that new workforce, we can bring in those who have traditionally been underrepresented in our industry. Micron is investing in community college programs, veterans reskilling programs, and internship programs that will open doors to people who otherwise might never have considered a technical career. Thank you, April. You always come to rescue. Thanks again, April. Over the course of the next several years, opening the doors will create an inclusive and transformative economic opportunity for individuals, for families, for entire communities. It will transform us as well in all the best ways. If the CHIPS Act is successful, 20 years from now, we will look back and find tremendous progress. First, we will have enabled leading-edge technology capability to flourish and be driven from the United States. Second, we will have secured a diversified semiconductor manufacturing footprint here, creating supply assurance and infusing our industry with a broad, inclusive base of talent. Third, we will have been the tip of the spear of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States, sparking investments in technology growth far beyond just our industry. And finally, the technology we create will be part of new solutions that help society solve intractable problems in medicine, energy, climate, and so many others. Our industry holds the keys. It's the data and the power of semiconductors that will unlock those riddles. Never have I been more excited in my nearly 45-year career. Thank you again for this honor. It is an amazing time to do what we do. I look forward to continuing to work together on the road ahead. And I truly believe the best is yet to come. Thank you.
Sanjay, from all of us at SIA and everyone here tonight, congratulations again on this incredibly well-deserved honor. Let's just do one more round of applause for Sanjay Malhotra. Now it's my pleasure to introduce tonight's keynote speaker, Medtronic CEO Jeff Martha. Jeff is a leading expert on medical technology, a field that's rapidly advancing thanks, in large part, to semiconductor innovation. We're excited to have him here and look forward to his insights on the future of healthcare technology. Jeff will be joined on stage by an outstanding journalist who knows our industry well, Anna Swanson from the New York Times. I just got to throw this in here, Anna. Anna's insightful and clear-eyed reporting on our industry can at times give us a touch of heartburn, but we are deeply respectful of her thoughtful, carefully researched work, and we're very grateful she could make the trip to be here tonight for this discussion. So without further delay, let's welcome on stage Jeff and Anna for tonight's keynote conversation.
Thank you for that very nice welcome. I'm really delighted to be here, delighted to be out of Washington. Someone told me that chips are big right now, so I had to come check it out. That was John Neufer who told me that, so. But yeah, thank you, Jeff. Very much looking forward to our conversation. I hope that, I think it will be one that's interesting. I hope it's one that's interesting for this audience because your industry, is one that's so emotionally important and connected to people, something that's keeping people around us alive, people we know and love, and one where technological innovation, has that direct impact on our lives. So, I'm not sure you need much introduction with this audience, but first maybe you could tell us who is Medtronic, get us started with that.
Sure. Well, before I do that, I just want to say thank you for having me tonight. It's a real honor to be here in this room, and it's been a fun and inspirational night. I mean, just over the last couple of years in particular, I've gotten to know just the profound impact that this room has had on the world, and very optimistic where we're headed. and just being in this room, it's been inspirational to see the passion that everyone has for the industry, and it was really special to hear the tribute to Gordon Moore, and of course Sanjay, just an incredible legacy, and it's intimidating to be up here, honestly. Medtronic, we're the world's largest medical device company, very global, about $32 billion in revenue, but at humble beginnings. Like some of these tech companies in this room, we started in a garage, just not in California, a garage in Minneapolis in 1949. But the company really took off, and it's indicative of how we do innovation. This little story, in the mid-50s, there was a power outage at the University of Minnesota Health Hospital. And a young boy that was post-surgery, post-cardiac surgery, they had a pacemaker that was keeping him alive after that surgery that was plugged into the wall. And when the power went out, unfortunately, this boy passed. And the cardiac surgeon went to our founder, Earl Bakken, who was really we were a hospital equipment repair company, and said, "Hey, can you invent a battery-powered pacemaker?" And so Earl went down to his lab and literally 2 weeks later came out with a battery-powered pacemaker. That was before the FDA. And it was being used on a patient 2 weeks later. And that was the beginning of medical devices. That's the first medical device. That's the beginning of Medtronic. And here we are now, a $575 billion industry, in large part thanks to all the semiconductor industry. And what we do is we're very big in cardiology, neuroscience, surgery, and diabetes.
And what about your industry's use of chips? How are chips supporting your technology and your advancement?
Well, in a number of ways. First of all, we're using, it's a growing industry. I mean, as our devices miniaturize and get less invasive and more effective, and we understand how they work with the human body. I mean, we're in aging demographics. We're using just more widgets, more products out there. But what's really driving the growth of semiconductors in our industry is a number of things. One, just everything is connected now. So we used to make point solutions, but now these even like taking a pacemaker. Think about it. It's a little computer we put inside people with semiconductors. But now that pacemaker is connected to the outside world. So there's, it's Bluetooth, or not Bluetooth, but it is Bluetooth, the low energy Bluetooth into your phone, into the cloud, where we can track how that patient's doing and reprogram that pacemaker as their condition changes. But we also started putting more sensors. When you put a little computer inside of somebody, you can, what's the art of the possible? We put more sensors in there so we can track more things and help patients in different ways. Another example would be, we do a lot of surgery too. So we're not just a device company, pacemakers, diabetes pumps, stents. We also do surgical tools. So you go in for a surgery and, there's these, minimally invasive tools. Well, they all now have sensors on them. And we're tracking exactly how those tools are used, where they're used, et cetera. Now we've got robots in surgery, surgical robots, intraoperative imaging, navigation. These are all connected ecosystems. And then finally, these connected ecosystems, we're now starting to put, advanced computing systems into the OR that are, like I said, tracking everything that's going on. And think about driver assist technology for the robots. That's coming. So these are, in this case, NVIDIA boxes that we're putting in every surgical suite and every interventional suite. And then AI, I can give you a bunch of examples. Maybe we'll get into that a little later, how AI is impacting things and changing simple things like a colonoscopy, dramatically changing it.
Yeah, tell me about some of the technological developments that you're more excited about. So did you bring some props?
I did. Well, look, first of all, like the miniaturization. So think of a pacemaker. It is now shrunk down to the size of like a vitamin. It goes right into the chamber of the heart. No leads, no wires coming off of that. It lasts, thanks in large part to specialized, chips that we use that preserve power consumption. It lasts 18 years on average, and so that means 80% of people that get a pacemaker only need one in their whole life. we're again, talk about the connectedness. We're putting this is a endoscopic pill that you swallow that beams. Here, you can hold that if you want. That beams images. Oh, wait a second. That's the used one. Here, take this. I'm just kidding.
You must say that to everybody.
I just thought of that when I was sitting there. Yeah, we use them for colonoscopies, so you know where they come out. And before you ask, we just flush them. We don't make you get them again. But it beams the images, into your phone, into the cloud, and we can do a colonoscopy in the cloud. We're putting these little sensors just under the skin to track AFib. For those that know atrial fibrillation, especially in an aging population, AFib is very intermittent. You can have it and then not have it for a year, and you don't need to take the medicine if you don't have it. It could cause stroke if you do have it. So we put this here. This lasts about 5 years, and it's that little angel watching over you at all times. But we're just starting to learn what else we can use this for. And then, like I said, robotics is a big one. And when we think robotics, it's more than robotics. It's a robot, it's intraoperative imaging, it's navigation, it's AI-based surgical plans. So when you go into a surgery, you're not so reliant on the skill set of your doctor, which is too variable. And so these are things that are happening. And AI is shaping a lot of this. So like so for example, colonoscopy, we do like deep learning models. This isn't large language models. It's not accurate enough for what we do. Deep learning models we did for colonoscopies, which is becoming a new standard of care. We took 13 million colonoscopy videos, trained our models to pick up polyps. And as you know, polyps are highly correlated to colon cancer. And what we found was doctors were missing 50% of the polyps. Because if you've ever seen a colonoscopy video, it's like just a bunch of pink tissue. It's really hard to find these polyps. And the AI doesn't get tired. So a couple things I'd say for advice, for a little tip. If you're 45 years or older, get your colonoscopy. Get it in the morning, because the doctor's eyes get tired as the day goes on. There's a big drop-off from morning to afternoon. And if you can, get it with AI. It's becoming a new standard of care. So there's a lot of things going on that it will democratize, good health care, and actually lower the cost too, and provide more access, because there just isn't enough trained surgeons around the world. There just isn't enough frontline healthcare workers, and technology is the way forward. And thanks to what you guys do in this room, it's possible, and it's not just possible, it's happening. I could tell you a lot more stories, but and if you're, I'll take questions. But yeah, lots of exciting things going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine there are very serious kind of cybersecurity concerns with these developments as well. Talk to me about that, and how you're doing with that.
So there are concerns. Knock on wood, we haven't had when I think about cyber, we think about the data systems at Medtronic, and we worry about that. But what the FDA is really concerned about is what we call product security, so cyber attacks on our devices. And I'll never forget when the FDA said, you need to really think about pacemakers and things like that. A state-sponsored attack against your technology. I'm like, who would want to do that? But apparently that's something we need to worry about. So I personally meet with the FDA every quarter, the head of the FDA, to talk about where we are with product security. Not because we got in trouble, because we're trying to set the standard for what needs to be done here. So it's something we spend a lot of time on, and so far, thank God we haven't had any problems. But I know that it's something that we really have to be diligent about. And it didn't help that some of these TV series. There was one TV series that had a storyline where it was supposed to be Dick Cheney. They were trying to. He had a medical device at one point, and that somebody could actually reprogram that device and shock him to death. And it was one of these crime dramas, yeah. And and it didn't help that they had like a Medtronic programmer in the show and everything. So it's not true. It can't really happen. But that's what people are worried about. That's what we have to be on guard about.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share about long-term technological developments? I'd be really curious where you see things going in 10 or 20 years, just in kind of future, and maybe how you see chips supporting some of that development.
Well, look, I think, like I said before, we're putting these. There's just too much variation in healthcare, and we're putting chips and sensors everywhere to really understand what was going on. Just take a surgery. I was just in one the other day, and multiple surgeries I watched. Supposedly the same procedure, different docs, and you can see how they're using technology differently. And so we're putting sensors on every instrument, cameras everywhere, inside the body, over the body, and starting to gather all this data, taking all that data, putting it into this advanced computing system in the OR, and we're analyzing it. And over time, I think it's going to be a long time before we replace doctors with technology. But I can tell you right now, doctors that are leveraging this technology and using AI are replacing doctors that don't. And like I said, we'll have like driver assist technology in the OR, where you take out someone's gallbladder and there's 37 steps, and did that physician follow all 37? Did they do it in the right order? How much time did they spend on step 15? How they compare, all this, and when should you use certain technologies, when should you not? All this will be much more standardized, reducing variation, dramatically bringing down cost in healthcare, and democratizing good care. Because in this country, if for the most part you get really good care, but it's not that way in other countries, and it's just there just isn't enough trained physicians. So take an electrophysiologist that treats cardiac rhythm conditions. In a city like this, there's probably one of those for every 100 people. You go to a developing country, it's probably one for every 1 million people. And you're never going to train that many electrophysiologists, so you have to use technology different. So it's very exciting, and it's largely dependent on what you guys do here in this room. And I know there's more than just semiconductors. There's a lot of other things that go on in companies here that all support connectivity, computing power, storage, everything, and it's really enabled by this. So it's very exciting. And in my industry, we have to learn new tricks. We're hiring a lot of different types of technology, and moving into a decade ago, moving from mechanical, electrical, and chemical engineering into more software, now into more data, AI, and robotics capabilities. It's fun. Mm-hmm. I can tell I'm very excited, very optimistic about the future.
I did want to ask you about your experience during the pandemic. I understand that you, firsthand experienced chip shortages. What was that like for your business? What lessons did you come away with in terms of managing your supply chains?
Well, one thing, I was thinking here with all the chip companies in this room, I wish I knew all you guys back in 2020. I wish I had you on speed dial. It was painful. I mean, and you know this better than me, we use, and I was on many calls with many of you, and during that time frame, there were certain specialized chips that we just couldn't get. And just to give you an example of, one example of impact, so laparoscopic soft tissue surgery, they call it. So think gynecology, urology, general surgery, colon cancer, that kind of thing. Medtronic and Johnson & Johnson do about 90% of the procedures, out there, Coke and Pepsi, if you will. And a lot of it's endoscopic with little portholes, and there's a lot of technology on the end of these instruments that go inside the body and do this magic, and all powered by semiconductors. And our surgical systems have a tower that power them. And in that tower, there are certain chips that we just could not get, like zero, for a couple of months. And we had to shut down the factories. And literally, when we're half the market globally for surgery, that was a huge problem. That to me was the scariest. There was other areas where we could call on other people in our industry and we can band together and figure it out. But that one was too hard to overcome. We're half the market. And again, globally. So these were things, there was financial ramifications to the company. Thank God we had a strong balance sheet and we could withstand this. But, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking about people's lives. And that's why we're in this industry. There's a huge sense of purpose, a huge sense of responsibility. I felt we were letting people down, obviously. And so it led to a whole revamping of our supply chain, head to toe, and a lot more, trying to get a lot more granular into our supply chain, into the companies in this room.
And were you competing with other industries for the chips that you needed at that point? And then I understand that you got involved in advocating for the Chips and Science Act. What was your experience like with that?
Yeah, we were competing, but to credit to the the SIA members, once they understood that there was a lot as distributors between us and many of the companies in this room, and once we went around that and pierced through that and talked to the CEOs of different companies and said, hey, this is a healthcare application, by and large, people prioritize that because we're all human. They understand that. But we were competing, and it was difficult. And the Chips and Science Act, I mean, I knew that it wasn't going to help us in the near term, but after going through this and learning more about the supply chain and some of the dynamics and just the importance of semiconductors and how the supply chain worked, and I thought this was an important piece of legislation for the country. When I was asked by the White House to represent the life sciences industry, I was honored and really jumped into it. It was funny seeing Senator Schumer up there. I remember he called me with a list of people I needed to call and work over, a list of other senators. And many people in this room, with Pat and Sanjay and Governor Whitner, got to work with them on this. It was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. But I do, for all the reasons you guys have said tonight about the importance of it, I totally agree with it. And I'm really excited that and optimistic that it's going to be successful.
Do you think it'll have a direct impact on your industry? And then I'm curious if you see any, bigger challenges to implementation for that bill right now.
I mean, over time it will, right? I mean, it takes a while to get to the capacity. One of the things that we're focused on is some of the mature or specialized semiconductors. So we just want to make sure that there's an adequate supply of that. And I understand that that's the challenge. But I think that, like anything else, I'm sure there's going to be some challenges in implementing it. But I think we're off to a good start. And one piece that we are directly benefiting from, is beyond the semiconductor piece. There's the tech hub component of it, and so we're headquartered in Minneapolis, and Minneapolis was named the MedTech hub for the country through the Chips and Science Act. So that I think that'll help us drive more innovation. Minneapolis is the leading hub for MedTech. There's Boston, Minneapolis, Northern and Southern California, Israel. Those are the big hubs. Minneapolis is the biggest, though.
You mentioned the pretty dramatic evolution in terms of regulatory approval for medical devices, from just approving something, right, getting it in a person in weeks. Does that regulatory approval impact what kinds of chips that you use, or that you're staying with?
Well, it does. I mean, so if we have a problem, we can't just. I was talking about this at the reception with some of the folks here. If we have a problem, we can't just switch out a chip for another chip without special authorization from the FDA, which they don't like to give. So you really have to plan ahead. I mean, we have to test these chips and how they work in the device and longevity, everything. And so they call it verification and validation. It's a long process, and so it does have a big impact.
Mm-hmm. Is that something that's evolving at all, or you see any potential to evolve, or it's kind
the
of
FDA? Look, the FDA is committed. I mean, we all joke around about our regulators, but the FDA is committed to driving innovation in healthcare. They see it as the path forward for access and driving down cost, and I think there's opportunities to make those type of things more efficient. Really, one thing we're working on with the FDA beyond cybersecurity is AI. Think about it like. When we get approval for a device today, or historically, it's like a specific product that's kind of static, and that device is what they approve. With AI, our therapies are getting better. Every surgery. So every surgery, we have an AI-based platform for spine surgery. Spine surgery is very complicated, and we're using AI. So every surgery, our system's getting smarter. But that worries the FDA in many ways. If they don't think about the upside of that, they think about the downside, and what bad turns it could take. And I understand that's their role. So working with them to understand, to draw a box where we don't have to come back every surgery, right? They let us evolve the therapy over time as long as we stay in a box. And I'm simplifying it, but they call it a predefined change control plan. But the FDA has to evolve with technology. And it is nice to see that they are hiring data scientists and different types of technology leaders. And again, you say, why would you go work for FDA if you're? But there are a lot of people out there do have a sense of purpose for healthcare, and that's what's such a beautiful thing to be in that industry. And they know that the FDA is a key part of our ecosystem.
Bit of a left turn, but we were both at the dinner last night that U.S. business executives hosted with Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader. I was just curious what your thoughts were of that. I didn't get to see if he was eating vegetable curry or steak. I don't know if you were close enough, but
it was interesting that like a lot of the reporters would ask you coming out of there, what'd you think of the dinner? And I thought they were talking about like what was said. How was the food? And they asked like constantly. I don't know what it is. I don't go to many state dinners, but there's a lot of questions around the food. But
we can talk about something.
Yeah, I wasn't close enough to him to see what I didn't pay the big bucks you need to pay the table there. I'm on the board of the Asia Society and the U.S.-China Business Council. China's a big thing for us, so I got invited through that. But that didn't get you an invite to the head table there. But I did see him. He looked like he was happy. He did. All seriousness, he did look relaxed. I've seen him before. I've never seen him look that relaxed and comfortable.
So you say China is important for you. What does that mean to your business, and where do you see that right now?
It's a big end market for us. It's more, we're not as exposed from a supply chain perspective. It's more of an end market for us. 1.4 billion people, maybe 300 million have access to the type of healthcare technology we provide, and the Chinese government is super committed to expanding healthcare to the rest of the country. They're really focused on, they have a big problem with shrinking birth rates, and they're really focused on, and you talk to any Chinese citizen, they're not bringing new kids into this world. It's housing is too expensive, education is too expensive, and healthcare is too expensive and not accessible. So the Chinese government's very focused on driving that healthcare, but it's going to be a different model than what we have in this country. Our medical devices, unlike, we're the opposite of the semiconductor industry in terms of you guys make, billions of chips, and we have a huge volume. We have in electronics terms, we have smaller volumes. We get nice margins for that, but small volumes. We're going to have to learn in China to sell much higher volumes at a lower price point. And so we have to rethink the architecture of our products and how they behave, and we're going to have to localize more. Obviously, with geopolitics, we're going to have to be more in China for China. But right now, China largely relies on the United States for their medical technology. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't been able to, however you want to say it, like duplicate what we have. And they need, right now, for cutting-edge healthcare, they need the United States healthcare companies. But over time, that will change, and the government's focused on it. And if you're going to have access to that country, you're going to have to localize. And so these are some of the things that we're working through. And of course, localization costs money. We have to do clinical trials, and there's a lot of risk with geopolitics. So it's not an easy thing to navigate, but it's a huge end market for us. And despite all the geopolitics and uncertainty, I think we can't, if we're going to continue to be the global leader, we have to be in China.
It seems like one of the bigger challenges for both your industry and chips is probably getting and retaining a skilled workforce. Do you have any thoughts about the challenge of that right now in the United States, and how are you managing that?
Well, I get to sit through today one of the sessions that the SIA had around talent, and Dr. Liu was speaking, and it was very interesting to hear. I didn't realize that the chip industry was facing some of those same challenges. I thought you were similar to Google and Facebook, but I learned something different today, that you have a challenge with that as well. So it is something we're focused on a lot. What you talked about is some of the things that we're doing. First of all, we think about the technology career path in our company from start to finish, where we're recruiting, what schools, driving for diversity and inclusion in our workforce, so women in engineering, and recruiting at historically black colleges as well. And then what's the career path look like all the way through, including getting all the way to the top of the company without having to be a manager of a lot of people. A lot of technical talent just wants to focus on the technology. They don't want to be necessarily a manager of a lot of people. So how do you enable that? The big thing that we do, though, that's really helped us is connect those jobs with the mission of the company. And the mission, Medtronic is a special company in that it truly is mission driven. You know, alleviate pain, restore health, extend life. It's almost like a cult inside the company, but it's authentic and putting patients first. And today's younger generation in particular, but all generations, I think that resonates. People want to go to work for a company that stands for something that has societal benefit, and that's authentic for us. And we definitely connect these jobs directly with patient impact. And so, for example, in December, the biggest day on our calendar, we're going to invite patients into our headquarters. We make a big deal out of it. They get in front of our employees and explain how our technology has changed their lives, and they thank our employees. And there isn't a dry eye in the house. There's maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people in the room, and then 60, we have 100,000 colleagues worldwide, but 60,000 will tune in that day and watch this. And so that, anytime we're recruiting somebody, I make sure they're there for that day, and the deal is done. And our technology team, whether you're an engineer or a scientist, what have you, they're directly involved in that. And that has more recruiting and retention value than any monetary thing we can do, especially for people whose lives were touched directly or indirectly, their parents, their grandparents, their kids. And so I think that you guys can do that in this room. I really do. But you can't hand wave over it. You've got to really invest in it, really make the connection, make it authentic, and you got to keep with it. It doesn't have to be healthcare. There's other things. You guys are involved with so many things around the world that I think are purpose-driven. But that's something that we do that I think that works really well and helps us recruit, retain. The other thing is where you locate these people. We're putting them in cities they want to live is another thing. Now, I'm not talking about work from home. I'm talking about where our R&D teams sit, whether that's in Boston. Minneapolis is a little harder to recruit to, but once people get there, they like it. Or Boston, Boulder, Colorado, or Irvine, California, places that we're having luck recruiting and keeping people.
Well, and that was part of the point of the Tech Hubs program, actually, to spread out that ecosystem a bit outside of the coast and to some new places.
Yeah, I read an article that you were kind of skeptical about that Midwest. Yeah.
Should have talked to you. No. I think,
I think the Midwest can be an innovation hub. We are, I told you, so.
Yeah. No, I think there's just a lot of, new, there's a really new model with industrial policy, right? And it's provoking a lot of questions about where everything is leading. So just trying to ask those questions. But anything else you want to say? We have 17 seconds. The clock is ticking down.
Well, look, thank you. This is fun. And look, I just want to thank everybody again for what you do and what you've done for the medical technology industry. I'm the equivalent of our SIA is called AdvaMed. I'm very engaged in that in a leadership role. And I know that on behalf of all of the medical technology companies in AdvaMed, just a big thank you for what you're doing, and just to be here, like I said tonight, and the collegial nature of the industry here. I know you guys compete fiercely outside this room, but how you come together to solve problems like workforce development and supply chain with China and things like that is just tremendous, and it's inspirational to the innovation and just again hearing Sanjay and Gordon Moore is just a real treat, and so thank you everybody, and thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you. That was great.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Thanks, Jeff and Anna, for that fabulous conversation. I learned a lot. I have two quick apologies. One to you, Jeff. If you noticed, I was on my iPhone for a few moments while you were speaking, and you might guess what I was doing. I was changing my afternoon appointment to my morning appointment. And then Salesforce, I apologize for my bad eyes. When I was talking about sponsors earlier on, somehow I skipped the S. Salesforce table, where are you at? All right, let's give a big hand for Salesforce. Medical technologies do so much to save and extend our lives. And we in the chip industry, we're very excited that we can be a part of all that. And we can partner with your industry. We work very closely with AdvaMed in Washington. We know all your folks over there, and it's been a great partnership. So let's all thank Jeff and Anna again. Okay. Rich is a great share, says John, bring it home and fast. So let me just try to do that. So that almost concludes our dinner, but please don't call your Ubers or Lyfts quite yet. Everyone's encouraged to continue to enjoy the evening at our after dinner reception right outside the doors, hosted by our platinum sponsors. I'll go fast on this one. No clapping at the end. The Arizona Commerce Authority, Intel, Jobs Ohio, the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, Micron, the National Institute for Innovation and Technology, New York Loves Nanotech, NVIDIA, Salesforce, Samsung, and Western Digital. So please stop by just outside the ballroom for one more happy libation and take a picture by the pretty cool and very cold ice sculptures. Finally, I'm going to ask you to give one more round of applause, this time to my truly awesome team at SIA, who worked very hard. They work exceptionally hard, and they're the ones that put this wonderful dinner on tonight. LaToya, Dan, the rest of the team back here, if you're around here, can you stand up, take a bow? I'm not kidding. Let's do it. All right. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you at the after dinner reception.